The Aspen Ideas Festival is taking child's play very seriously.
We're coming up right up here. This is David Rockwell's portable playground.
In a suitcase. It's
yes.
a brilliant idea,
Isn't that a great idea?
Yes, that's right.
And if you have to say what's the connection in the DNA between the playgrounds and my day job, it's about communal play.
It's really important to give kids physical things to work with to exercise their imaginations.
New York is in the middle of a kind of renaissance with the parks. My original fantasy was to build a playground in each borough. And as soon as I announced I was going to do it, I found out every parent knows exactly how their kid should play and wanted to tell me that in great detail.
Well, look at you, Mr. Kevin Carroll. No, tell me, what do you do?
I'm an author, I'm a speaker, I'm an agent for social change.
Now, Kevin, can you tell me, how did a red ball save your life?
There was a local playground in the neighborhood, and red rubber ball, a kickball, became the symbol of all my sports that I ended up playing. And I dedicated my life. At 6 years old, I said, I'm going to keep a ball with me because it gives me a chance to belong.
As a kid, as it turns out, I spent a lot of my time building things like this. We moved around a lot, so there wasn't a lot of permanence, but wherever we moved, I always found junk and things to make things out of, and I always liked kind of Rube Goldberg contraptions.
I get a chance to travel the world and impact organizations and lives and communities, but more importantly, the people that you see behind us, these young folks back here, that's my big work. I try to get in front of them and instill hope and possibility.
I had done about 200 sketches, hand sketches, of different ways kids could play, and then I looked at all of them and said, what's the most flexible? What is going to allow kids to play the longest? And every day when they play, have it be a little bit different. Every play date started with kids building individual structures. And they would notice that you could build, one group could build one thing, but they'd look at the other kid's thing and say, well, is there a way to connect them? So connection became more and more important.
So why is play important?
It's as important to us as eating, drinking, or sleeping. Physiologically, if you take play away from you, bad stuff will happen to you, yet adults marginalize play. Children, we saw them back there playing, they absolutely embrace it and recognize its importance, but we start to take it away from them.
Computers and computer games and digital technology provide extraordinary opportunities for all forms of creativity and connectivity and all the rest. But I worry. You know, we don't know what effect it has on kids to be in front of computers so much. We don't know what it does to their brains. I mean that literally, we just don't know. But what we do know is that ideas come to you in a different way when you're doing something physical, and we are physical beings.
I had been playing with an idea of blocks that would come in a box like this, so that you have the ability in places where you can't get a permanent playground to have this open up and have this amazing circus of play happen. And that's how the portable playgrounds happen.
But see, that's what this whole imagination playground thing is, right? Is that you can invent. And that's why I love it. So I'm actually going to start taking it to businesses and leaving a box of the blocks and everything for businesses to have those moments where they can have purposeful play, use their imagination, build things, use your hands. So, you know, one of the biggest challenges right now is we consume imagination, we do not create it.
One of the big challenges in education is how to embed a way of fostering the natural creativity of children and of young people so that it can be enhanced with better skills, more knowledge, more of a sense of how the process works.
You said something very resounding, is that you feel like, you know, education is almost like stifling creativity.
There's no question about it. I mean, and it's not accidental. You know, the fact is that our current systems of education were never designed to promote it. I mean, there are great teachers, there are great schools. I've worked with many of them who do wonderful work and who do promote creative work in all kinds of ways. But they do it in spite of the dominant culture of the system. The system's not designed for that. They manage to make it work.
One of the speakers that you had, Sir Ken Robinson, I thought was unbelievable, where he believes that almost we're being educated out of creativity.
Well, yeah, I actually don't fully agree with that. Sometimes that's used as an excuse not to have tests in reading and math. They say, oh, well, we'll test too much and our kids won't be creative. I think that, you know, you may worry about creativity and innovation, but let's first make sure kids can read and write, and we're failing our kids in that regard sometimes.
The dominant system is designed to produce conformity and standardization. And it's getting worse with this culture of standardized tests in many countries. And it's why, by the way, something like 30% of kids drop out of schools in America, out of public education, between 9th grade and 12th grade. Why so many kids in other communities drop out at higher rates, like 50% in some communities. Well, you can't blame kids at that point, that's the system.
Everybody is creative, and so the question of how to bring that out is something that most societies haven't addressed at all. Most societies are about suppressing, in some respects, creativity so that you can get the kind of predictable behavior, you know, sort of conformity to a set of rules and principles that, you know, are required to keep society together.
So that's a good debate. Not everybody agrees with every idea here. And when you have those debates, you can get, you know, especially face to face. Sometimes you do it on the internet, it doesn't quite work. Good thing about here is you meet in the flesh and you try to find common ground.
And I think when you have that kind of integration, so many different topics from people from so many different areas of the world, they sort of clash in one way, but then also meld. And as a result, you are able to generate new ways of doing things and new ways of thinking.
We need to deal with the practical side of, okay, we have this grand vision, that's great. Okay, how do you implement it? How do you implement it when you have to deal with teachers' unions? How do you implement it when you have to deal with budget cuts? How do you implement it when you have to deal with a recession? That's always been a challenge with education. It's like we have this high-minded goal that everybody agrees on, but we can't figure out how to pragmatically get to it.